Week 14 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few running backs I have as sleepers this week. The first running back, Blake Corum of the Los Angeles Rams. So we saw last week, Blake Corum, he had a good game. We saw as well that Kyren Williams, he left a little bit with an ankle injury, but returned to the game. And Blake Corum, the last couple weeks, he's been getting some work. And now offensive coordinator for the Rams came out and said they want to keep Kyren fresh for the playoffs. So I think this could still be a timeshare, and Corum's still out there in tons of fantasy leagues in 74%. To the last few games, Week 12 versus Tampa, 7 carries, 24 yards. And Week 13 in Carolina, 7 carries, 81 yards and a touchdown. So they'd like Corum a lot since they drafted him last season as this Los Angeles Ram team. And like I said, if they want to keep Kyren fresh for the playoffs, where in those ball games, obviously they're going to want to run the football more and have him 100% healthy, we're going to see Corum, I think, get more work. And also this week could be a ball game where they're up early and often, and in the second half run the clock out with Corum. So with all those factors, and he's been getting more work over the last few weeks, Corum definitely a sleeper option this week. The next running back, Tyjae Spears of the Tennessee Titans, out there in 70% of fantasy leagues. And we know this Titan team all year long, they've been trailing and chasing points. And Tyjae Spears, he's a good out of the backfield receiver, but in between the tackles, obviously that's Tony Pollard's job, and he don't get many touches there. The last few weeks here for Spears, Week 11 versus Houston, 4 carries, 3 yards, 5 catches, 31 yards. Week 12 versus Seattle, 4 catches, 21 yards, 3 carries, 4 yards. And then last week in Week 13 versus the Jaguars, 2 carries, -1 yards, but 6 catches, 25 yards. So he does a lot catching the football out of the backfield. I know a lot of small gains on most of these catches for Tyjae Spears, but if you're in a pinch and need a sleeper option, like I said, Tyjae Spears, he's out there in 70% of fantasy leagues, and most likely, even though Cleveland's offense can't put a lot of points on the board, I still believe they'll be chasing points this Tennessee this week, and he's definitely a sleeper option. And the final running back, Chris Rodriguez of the Washington Commanders. If you want to own one back over there in Washington, it's Chris Rodriguez. He's out there in tons of fantasy leagues right now in 68%, and the last few weeks he's been the lead back over there for this Washington Commander team. Week 9 versus Seattle, 12 carries, 65 yards, a touchdown. Week 10 versus the Lions, 6 carries, 16 yards, a touchdown. Week 11 at the Dolphins, 15 carries, 79 yards, a catch, 6 yards. And then Week 13 in a tough loss in overtime to the Broncos, 11 carries, 41 yards, and he found the end zone. So this week, not a great matchup on paper at the Vikings. That give up the 12th least amount of fantasy points to running backs on the season. But like I said, he's getting the work. Is Chris Rodriguez. Goal line, worst case, he's getting as well. With Jacory Groskey-Merritt, they were so confident in him after training camp that they traded Brian Robinson away to the 49ers. And right now, that's looking like a mistake for this Commander team. But right now, Chris Rodriguez, he's getting his touches. He's putting up some decent ball games. And this week in Minnesota, I think he still could go 7, 12 fantasy point range in PPR leagues. The only thing is he don't catch the football out of the backfield. So that's a few running backs I have as sleepers for Week 14 of the fantasy football season.